Hello and welcome to UL and Friends, a podcast brought to you by Unfocused Love, an independent record label based in South East London, promoting music and artists that we love. Today we're joined by Johnny FK and we talk all things from his new EP to what he got into during lockdown. I hope you enjoy it. Hi everyone and welcome to UL and Friends, and today I'm joined by Unfocused friend Ant. How are you doing, Ant?
I'm alright, man. I'm alright. It's one of these. I'm at this situation now where things are starting to open up in the world, and I've just been in a situation where I've booked too many things, and I'm getting pulled left, right, and centre, and I'm kind of sitting there. I'm like, oh, it's too many motives, man. There's too many things going on. I need to relax. I need to like step back. And I went to the cinema like yesterday, and I was saying to my girlfriend, I was like, no more. Just no more. And she was like, oh, that's fine. We're going to cinema on Thursday, remember? And I was like, oh, please.
Nice.
I just need a break. But other than that,
Have you
I'm
been
cool,
to any
man.
gigs?
I've been to any gigs. I went to I wanted to go see Fat Whites at in Islington, but couldn't get tickets. It's pretty hard to get a hold of. But I went to a club night actually a couple nights ago in Oval Space, and
Nice.
DJs like Peach was playing, and it was just mad to be in a club environment with like
Feel
a
the
real sound
airwaves.
system and stuff. It was tables and that, but I mean, it kind of descended into a bit of madness. I definitely had to take a COVID test after that. I can't lie.
Yeah.
All is well, but still.
Yeah. It's good to have things starting up again, certainly. Like it's been nice because I haven't managed to get to any yet, but it's been good to see like bands that I like sort of going around and actually kind of touring again in a
Yeah,
way.
man,
Like-
exactly. That's exactly it, man.
But how would you describe the guest we've got on today?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a little bit written here, but so the introduction today for our artist is that they are an artist and individual that everyone here at Unfocused Love adores, and they're constantly looked up to as endlessly creative, forward-thinking, hugely talented in both technical and creative fields, and inherently inspirational. He cut his teeth in the South London punk scene, being a stalwart at the legendary New Cross venues, the New Cross Inn, Amersham Arms, and the Five Bells. In bands starting out with a buzzsaw blistering group, the Provokers, our guest diversified into more abstract and psychedelic territory, taking inspiration from psychedelic folk, mid-20th century poets such as Frank O'Hara, and innovative production techniques. The band Twin was formed, releasing the record Under the Polar Ocean, which is a personal favourite of mine that I typically return to just for its sheer depth of quality and songwriting. Following Twin, our guests turned inwards and looked at expressing themselves in ways more personal and sensitive, but at the same time whimsical and free, drawing on inspirations that include of Montreal, David Bowie, Syd Barrett and Lou Reed. Our guests released singles including You're Such a Sexy Dolphin and Last Fun of Summer, featuring South East London poet extraordinaire Jake Hawkey, showing a deeper and internal side to this multifaceted artist. A huge influence and presence in Unfocused Love. This artist featured on our debut compilation UL 2020 with 2 tracks, namely Take Me to Your Firebed and the old Twin classic Fragile Boy, showing his sheer breadth of ability in songwriting, lyricism and production. Recently, we've had the absolute honour to release his latest record and singles on Unfocused Love, which you can get now through all the usual channels. And if you want to support our guest directly, then head over to unfocusedlovelabel.bandcamp.com. As well as being a guitarist of folk trio Shive Lights, he has released his latest record, The Well. The Well chart as our guests dive into the depths of his inner psyche and is the cathartic culmination of several years punctuated by grief, loss, place, and the memories that bind these together. He's a singer, songwriter, shit-hot guitarist, poet, production wizard, friend, brother, lover. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our great pleasure to introduce to you Johnny FK. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Cheers.
No problem, man. Come on.
What have you been up to, Johnny? How have you adjusted to kind of post-lockdown life?
But it's been really weird, to be honest. 'Cause I've just been kind of getting used to lockdown life. Like I've
Yeah.
got the swing of this. Like, you know, I'm like not seeing many people. Like, you know, just hanging out with my flat, and very few people. Like, um, and like, but we've had some band practices again with Shy of Lights. I've been having band practices with my own like band. I've got like a really really good band together for my solo project now, for Johnny FK. We've got a gig on the 23rd of July at Yellow Arch as part of the Tramlines weekend, is supporting Marla Palinka, and I've got like a really really sick band together for that now.
Nice.
Like I got it was just my favorite like local you know musicians.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. Like it's a really really high like like standard of musicianship in the band, and everyone's really bringing the songs to like a new levels, which I kind of hadn't imagined before, when just writing them. So it's really exciting. So that's been nice as well, just getting on with some of that stuff again.
Yeah, certainly. So I know a lot of people hadn't really enjoyed the lockdowns, but it sounds like you kind of did in a way. Did you find that you were able to be more sort of creative in those times, or less so?
A bit of both, to be honest. Like, I mean, I got really, really anxious at the start of it. Really, really, really anxious. Like, not good, but I did, at the same time, I was still in uni. And so I kind of like, on one hand, it kind of helped not having anything else to do,
Yeah.
And I wrote that EP, and recorded it. And I think I was just getting to a point where I was kind of like getting into the swing of it. You know what I mean? I was like writing a lot more again. I was like, cool, I've been a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, got the time for it as well, I guess.
Yeah, like I'm just like, yeah, this is cool. I'm pretty relaxed now. This is great, But but yeah, I mean, it's at the same time like it is nice to be able to kind of like do more stuff again.
Yeah, do some like normal, pre-COVID things again, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
It's like you were saying, Johnny, like the exciting thing about that is seeing these tunes that you've written, on your own and done with like, contributors, but not in person. And now I guess they take on a whole new life.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
There's kind of nothing like playing music with people in the same room, really, is there? Like,
no, yeah.
There's no sort of energy like that, I think.
True.
Did you pick up anything sort of new throughout like the last year that you hadn't previously spent time doing, like whether it be like music related or not?
To be honest, like I wouldn't say anything really new, like nothing that I hadn't ever done before, but I've got a lot more into producing, like kind of recording music, the engineering side of music. I guess because I haven't been playing gigs and I did that EP. That EP really kind of got me into that a lot more, I think. Like I had to do a lot of research while I was recording that EP, because obviously I was just like, how the fuck do I make this sound like good?
Yeah.
Like, like just
You did a good job of it.
in a room, like with no. I didn't even have all my stuff with me at the time, so it was just like I had to do a lot of research. But I think all the research into recording music and mixing music, it kind of hooks you, like it brings you kind of closer to it, And
seeing what goes inside the sausage, man, that's it.
Yeah,
I know. While I was like before lockdown, I was like thinking about like shadowing like a live sound engineer, I was really looking at like live sound engineering. And I'd like to do that still actually, but obviously when lockdown happened, I just got the studio stuff just took over, and like I've got really into that now, and I've done some work with Lilify over like lockdown and stuff, which was great. Like it kind of gave. I wouldn't have probably have done that. It was like I just had the time to kind of commit to doing studio stuff.
You produced their record, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, so I produced and mixed an album by Lilify called Folk You Hard. It's a kind of like acoustic, stripped back version of Lilith's tracks. So I mean, normally I've recorded guitars for Lilith stuff for years, and like generally the vibe is like, fucking really thick, layered, dirty, textured, spacey guitars, you know, and like often quite produced, you know, like I worked on Bloodlines. It's another full kind of track before this album, and again, it was like, you know, I programmed the drums and everything, but we wanted to make it sound really big and, you know, spacey and dirty, and, you know, and this acoustic record was an opportunity to present the songs in a more stripped back way, which was really fun. And I feel like we still did some, like, we didn't leave it totally raw. Like, it doesn't sound like just playing in a room. We did do other stuff because we just kind of, you know, I think that's kind of part of her sound, you know. And like, she kind of encouraged me still to kind of, you know, have some fun with it. But it's still a lot more. It's really stripped back. It's basically Lilith, her vocals, and I did some guitar overdubs on some of the tracks, you know. And then just, you know, that's it. So it's a different way, and it's a real treat, I think, to hear the songs, you know, in that like format.
Yeah, I guess it sort of appreciates the songwriting side of it rather than the actual textures.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, definitely. And they're brilliant songs. Like they're really brilliant songs. Like her lyricism is just like, it's insanely good, you know. And I think it's really nice to be able to just showcase that, you know, just have like a production of her songs which are just the song, you know.
Yeah, man. That always makes me think of like when you compare like the 3 records of Nick Drake, and you've got like you know, it's quite you've got like the strings and bits and pieces on like the first 2 records, and they, you know, they've got quite a big hand. I mean, they're excellent records. I'm a massive fan of all of his stuff, but the first 2 records have got like that big you can see the producer's like mark on it, and then it gets to like the gets to the 3rd record, and it just shows you what a great musician and songwriter he was, when it's basically just like him and the guitar and the bits of like production going on. But yeah, she's an excellent songwriter. Great, as you were saying, great ear for a melody, great ear for a banging lyric.
Yeah.
So once we came out of lockdown, what was the first thing you did once it was sort of, things were opening up again?
Well, I mean, I sort of eased into it. Like, I was just like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's just slowly,
fresh.
you know, I think everyone kind of just slowly kind of got more relaxed, I guess. But I think like, you know, like, I mean, we've had some good band practices and stuff, you know, like, that's kind of the main thing. I had like had a drink after work. first drink in a pub, like, because I didn't go to the pub in the first lockdown. Like I say, I was pretty stressed about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And this was the first drink I went in the pub, and oh my god, man, I haven't been that drunk in so long.
What did you have?
Because I just forgot all my limits. I forgot like the things I do to kind of
definitely
make sure that I'm just relatively okay, you know, like.
Than,
and the next day was just it's so grim, man. I forgot what it was like to be that hungover. Like, I really.
I had the same thing, man. Like going to a pub and like drinking pints. Like, typically, you know, I drink wine through my work and stuff like that. But going to, you know, and drinking pints, it just completely goes out the window. It was like when I came up from that club, I don't even remember getting home. I remember apparently I had to get out of the cab in Elephant and Castle and be sick, and then walked home, and that was about it. It was horrible. But you're right. You know, you forget all these things.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's just exciting, isn't it? It's like, oh, I'm in a pub. I've got a pint. I'm fucking.
You're like, oh, that pint's done. I guess I'm gonna have
another one then. Why not? I'll pay £7 for it.
So you just get an app out. You're just like, yeah, one more.
That's the dangers of this life. Everything's on an app now, so it's far too easy.
It's really bizarre, like working in the pub, man. Like it's all like on it's all, you know, it's all on the app and stuff. It's all electronic. I'm like, this bar is so fucking chilled out right now. Like, it's because no one's coming to it. It's like.
Yeah, it's been quite, because I work in a pub, and it's been quite interesting because it was all garden service until like last week, and you just notice how much I appreciated having no one sitting at the bar, like not at the bar but in the pub watching us work. Like, it was so nice before you could just put any music you wanted on, and now everyone's criticising your music choices. And it's
Oh,
like,
man.
why do I bother? Like,
I had a thing. I went into a pub in Nunhead, and it was when we were sitting outside, and I remember just going inside, and it did look like the bar staff were just having a great time.
the best time to work in a pub was in that little month that we had. Bit of silence in the bar. Right, shall we move on to the more musical based chat? Although we have done quite a lot of music anyway. But let's go all the way back to your first sort of memories of music. Sounds like quite a big question, but what's your first memory of music?
Well, I mean, I think I always grew up around music. Like, my parents always played a lot of music, you know. But one of my first kind of memories of music, this is like, I think because it captured my imagination so much, actually, I've got like this memory of this classical music CD that must have come with a paper or something. And I used to listen to it when I was a kid, like, and I used to imagine all these like lines and colours and stuff coming out of the speakers, and it really captured my imagination, you know. And I used to swirl around the living room, you know, like imagining all these like colours and stuff, and I was really kind of like really into it. And at the same time, you know, I was like a big fan of like bit Britney, bit S Club, like, but it was all like, you know, it was all good. And then, like, you know, I had this like Now CD. I remember it was the Now CD with some 41 Fat Lip on it.
Classic.
And
Great
it had a. I remember this other track on it. It was like I don't know what song it was. It must have been some pop song, but it had like this really low, like it must have been like a pitched down voice or something, you know. And I remember it used to remind me of like the Gungans in Star Wars. Like, it used to make me kind of picture that, like, and so like I think. Yeah, like, it was like, I don't know, I'm not going to do an impression because I have no idea what it was now. But it really, like, but I've got all these kind of really, really early memories of music, like, along that, and just kind of, like, I guess, like, music kind of capturing my imagination and kind of dancing around at a really young age. And I mean, my dad played a lot of punk music when I was a kid as well. Like, I've got memories of driving around in Ireland listening to The Clash, you know. You know, he was into all that kind of Buzzcocks, Stiff Little Fingers, The Clash, that whole kind of part, The Damned, you know, like kind of early 70s. Late 70s. I don't know why I said that. No, yeah, but like that kind of 77-ish kind of UK punk stuff that, and as you know, as well as stuff like the Ramones and, you know, all those kind of bands that surround it. But I've got memories of my dad playing that stuff when I was a kid. You know, as well as like the Pogues and the Dubliners and stuff, and that kind of stuff. I feel like kind of had a big kind of imprint. That I think the punk stuff, particularly that I listened to at that point, was kind of what made me kind of want to play in bands and kind of take it seriously. You know, the fact that anyone could do it. I was like, yeah, you know, I'll do that. It was. I mean, it was way more inspiring than that. It wasn't like I'll do that, but
it was more like it flicked a switch in a way.
Yeah.
Would you say it's funny you mentioned sort of when, like, the first thing you mentioned about hearing music, but also seeing like all the colours and everything. Like, it's sort of like a synesthesia in a way. Do you sort of get that at all anymore, or
I don't think I'm actually synesthesic, because like I don't like now if I listen to music, I don't like, it's not as like, I think it was just when I was a kid for some reason, some music, but I still definitely associate music with different textures and I associate with colours and warmth or whatever, but it's not I don't think it's the same as synesthesia, to be honest.
Just a different form,
I think
perhaps.
but I think it perhaps when I don't know if it's something that can go, but I know when I was younger, it definitely, when I look back, it definitely looks like that to me from here, but I don't experience it now in the same way, so I don't know. Like, I think it was probably just like a kind of very active imagination for me.
Yeah,
it's like the wonders of childhood in that respect, isn't it? Like, I tend to only get that stuff when I'm stoned now. Like, I remember one time I was at my mate's in Stockport a good couple of years ago, and being very stoned, and I was laying in bed and I put on Remain in Light by
Yeah.
Talking Heads,
Talking
and
Heads, yeah.
like my mind was doing it was like Jackson Pollock stuff. It was like someone throwing paint
Yeah.
on like it was fantastic, and it was like, oh man,
Sounds great.
yeah. But then after that,
Yeah.
like, music
Yeah.
is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a fever once, like a few years back. I had a fever, and I just discovered Blood Orange, and I think Dev Hynes is actually synesthetic. And but I just discovered Blood Orange, and I'm listening to that album. The album, is it Freetown Sound with Augustine on it?
Yeah.
And I was just listening to that in bed with a fever, and I had it then. I was like hallucinating colours coming out, you know.
Yeah, so it's amazing what
really
illness
fun.
can do.
But
So, where did your artist/band name come from? I mean, I guess it's kind of obvious to us. But,
yeah, so
for the
Johnny FK is it's my initials in it. So it's actually I was looking for. I was like, oh, okay, we'll do a solo project. I was like, all right, I've had enough of bands for now. You know, like I'm taking it easy, like taking some time off and do a solo project. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to call myself Johnny Keaton or come up with a name. And I was speaking to Lilith actually, and Johnny FK was one of the things she suggested. And because we just needed a name quickly, we did a compilation a little while back, and we needed a name quickly. And she suggested that one, and I think the thing that kind of I like about Johnny FK is it has that kind of like JFK resonance. I think that's kind of what gives it its power, you know. It's like I think for me that's kind of what led me to choose that, as opposed to, and it kind of feels like a character as well. Johnny FK, it feels like a kind of slightly cartoonized version, or like, you know, it's like it's not just Johnny Keaton here, ready for straight up sincere, down in middle, you know, like, and I love that. I love doing that stuff too, but I like having like a bit of distance.
a bit of a persona to
You know?
it in a way, like.
And I like the fact that it looks like a bit like, you know, if you look at the F and the K, it looks kind of like the K kind of looks like someone doing like a kick.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, cool.
You're still holding on to that punk like roots, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Someone like I played a gig like an open mic night years back when I first come up with the name. I think it was in New Cross Inn actually, and the guy who was hosting it said like, so what does Johnny FK stand for? Is it like Johnny fuck off? And I was like, I think I totally disappointed him. I was like, no man, it's just me initials. Like,
Yeah, man. I was actually at that gig. I remember.
yeah,
it was just great. You went, no, that's my middle name, isn't it?
yeah.
Do you have any like particular memories of like your first sort of musical experience on a live stage?
Oh god, my first musical experience on a live stage was when I was about 10. So like, I played in a band called Swift, who we got on. We used to practice at the local youth centre, and so because that meant we got 2 I think when you went there, you got 2 20-minute rehearsals a night. You had a stage and a studio, and you could practice on both. And they also ran the youth stage at Dancing Fest, the local festival, and so we that's my first kind of memory. Played. It was the first time I played on stage. Like,
what sort of vibe were you going for with that?
what sort of vibe? It was kind of like it was part pop punk and part like punk. I think
Nice.
I can't remember, like, I think the very first year it was more like, I think at that point we like played 2 of our own songs, and we played like a couple of covers, you know, like Green Day or something, and then the following year we did like Anarchy in the UK.
Yes.
You know?
Really developed.
Yeah. Like, yeah, so I've got a few memories like that.
It's pretty impressive that you like were playing your own stuff at that age as well, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got into it really young. I mean, my friend at the time, Jack Campbell, like I grew up with Jack, like I've known him since we were 3, and his dad was a guitarist. So when we were like 9, he started playing guitar, and I think I just wanted to do it because I loved music, and he did it, and I was like, oh cool, I can play this guitar and just like strum away without playing any chords or anything, just like. and we used to write songs then, you know, like we're probably younger than that actually. We're probably younger, like we're probably 8. But it was that kind of time, so we just kind of, I just kind of got onto it. I just, at that age, I used to spend all my time like writing songs and recording them on, you know, like a cassette player, you know, like with a built-in microphone or something, or you know what I mean? And like that was kind of how I like got into it, and I was really obsessed with it. I used to have like a songbook, and I used to, you know, like have all different songs, and I used to imagine like different bands, and I'd be like, this is for this band, this is for this band, you know, that kind of thing. And it's like, look back, it's really funny, you know, like, but also like, you know, and we have other friends at the time, like we started kind of become more of a thing, and then we met someone else who introduced us to this youth centre, which is where we used to rehearse, and you know, met other musicians and played this gig for them, you know what I mean? So it was all kind of like that. That was kind of how it happened.
It's interesting what you're saying about different like songs for different bands, because in some ways I don't think that changes.
No.
You know, because you're like, well, this is, and in what you were saying earlier about like, there's almost like a bit of distance between like yourself and the Johnny FK, almost in like a persona way. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this for this character, and then this is for this character, and it you know, I think you know, it's great to see that comes from early.
Yeah.
Would you say your like approach to writing has changed much in that way, like across the years? Like,
I think
so would you say like you would still sit down and just strum through something and be like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty good, or are you much more precise and
oh no, I'm not
like
precise
delicate?
at all. I'm precise in the editing stage now. When I'm writing a song, I just blur everything out. I think that's kind of the point. I think it's just to get it all out and just kind of, and I'll come up with like absolute gibberish, like, and that for me that's kind of the fun of it, and it's also where the really honest stuff comes out, you know, and it's also converting that gibberish to kind of something that makes sense. You know, like you can only do that. It's going to reflect what's in your kind of subconscious every time you do that. So I think like I try not to be precise at all, and until I'm editing, then I'll like kind of like,
yeah, then it's sort of important,
Yeah.
I guess.
but that's one thing that's different is back then I didn't really edit. It's just like cool.
You are my favorite. You are my joy.
So we were talking about your approach to writing and throughout the years, and how would you say, like going into the Well EP, did you have like
Yeah.
a particular approach to it, or how did you go about writing that and getting into it?
Well, I mean, the well kind of formed around the song itself, the well. So that was a weird one in terms of process because, well, it was a fun one because how did it be? I think I had the first 2 lines, down there in the darkness, the division was gone between me and the air that I breathe. I think I had that. I think it was just that. It might be the next line too, and I had some time to think for a change. And I was just jamming in Dadgad, like this tuning. It's like a tuning I use all the time now, but it's like a thing I got into from playing folk more and more. So I was experimenting with tuning, new guitars, just like, you know, trying things out, and I started playing that riff, and was just kind of jamming on that, and that song was born just out of just kind of improvising over just playing that riff really, and improvising words based on the first 2 lines. So like it was a lot of what's there is just what I kind of improvised originally, just cut down, and I, you know, edited a little bit. I edited some of it quite a lot, and other bits I just left because I just wanted it to be like totally, like the bit where it's like, you are my favorite, you are my joy, like the chorus. Like I wouldn't really have thought of writing that, you know, like on a piece of paper or something, but it came out, and I feel like it's really kind of like, I don't know, like
like in the moment, I guess. Like,
Yeah, it's kind of like, I'm trying to think of the word. Like, I don't know if intimate is the right word, but it's kind of like, there's a vulnerability to it. You know, it's like, it's kind of,
It feels
it's
very
kind
pure.
of playful. Yeah, it's kind of playful and stuff, and so there's that. But obviously, I mean, I know I wrote about this a lot at the time. Like, it was so it's kind of largely influenced by Haruki Murakami's The Wind Up Bird Chronicle. And I think I think I just finished reading it at the point when I'd written it, when I wrote The Well, and was still very kind of spellbound by that. You know, as kind of, I did not put that book down. You know, I was just
yeah, like
I was
I relate to
sitting
that.
there just reading it throughout my summer. I think it was a summer at the time when I wrote it. Like, I can't remember, but I was just reading it, like, you know,
Just went
just
everywhere with
constantly. So that kind of had me really, like, you know, mesmerized, and that was kind of the headspace I kind of come up with the original lines from. And just, I think as well, when I wrote it as well, I was listening to a lot of Kurt Weill, his album Bottle It In. I was just really, really enjoying the playfulness of it, and the kind of light-hearted, just talkative, kind of conversational vocals in it. And I kind of was a little bit, on some of the times I did the improvisation on The Well, I was kind of imagining I was that character, and I think that kind of helped me get out of my head a bit. It definitely, like, it contributed to the playfulness and, like, the kind of just letting go, you know. And I think that's part of the vulnerability of the track. So so that kind of set the tone for the record, I think. The River, the second track, is actually a track I think I started writing it a year before, but I'd overcomplicated the hell out of it the first time I tried to write it. Like, I don't know, you know, I was trying to produce it electronically, and I was like, had like weird jazz chord sections, and it was just like, I didn't really know where they were going. You know, it was just, I liked it on one level, and it had like this, you know, the bit where it gets kind of big, where it's like, just bite and I will come around. That's like a really condensed version of what was originally there. It was this really long, sprawling thing where, like, blood starts, like, glooping up through bathtubs and shit.
Going
And it
into
was like,
progressive territory.
yeah, and it was really,
Yeah.
it was really big idea, but I just didn't really, like, I couldn't really finish it because I was like, you know, so
was
I
too
just
expansive.
left it for like a year, and that I just kind of like, you know, been bubbling away underneath. And when I started writing this record, I kind of, it started coming into my head, just like the verses. And so I had to rewrite most of the lyrics as well. Like, I don't think most of the, like, I think there's probably like a very small amount of the original lyrics that are in there. But the river the river that runs below the city was in there. That's from that bit about the fucking weird blood coming out of, like, baths and shit. But, like, you know, no one knows that. No, but like, but it ended up being like a totally different song. And it kind of took on this, I was in Dadgad and I was playing a lot of folk music, and it took on this kind of folkier form, and it was much simpler, and it kind of, it worked. I was like, yeah, this is the song. Like, this is, like, I think I just had to, I think sometimes you can't, I don't know, like, I think I had to learn a bit more and experience a bit more before I could finish that song. Like, it kind of needed some, like, incubation time. Is that the right word, right? That is
Yeah,
the right
that's
word.
right.
Yeah.
I particularly
yeah.
enjoy the woodwind on that track. It's really ethereal and magical. Like,
Yeah.
would you be able to talk a little bit about that?
So that's Jules playing the whistle. I was just playing the demo of the track, like, before. So I just had like a rough drums, scratch vocal. Actually the final vocal is a scratch vocal, because I
Nice.
just realised that it was not over 4, you know. But so it had
Yeah,
that
sometimes
vocal,
they
and
get
then it had
better.
like the scratch acoustic guitar. And, like, I was just playing it to Jules to see what she thought, like, you know, what do you think of this track? And she just started playing the whistle, like the F whistle. She was like, oh yeah. She was just playing along, and I was like, God, this sounds absolutely beautiful. This is exactly what it needs. So I just said, carry on, don't change, you know, just carry on doing what you're doing. And I just, like, grabbed the microphone, and I got like an SM7B and just put it up to her. And I recorded like a few takes of her playing, and that take that was on there was just one whole take, no editing, from start to finish. and it was just perfect. Like it was so beautiful. Like, and when I showed it to Henry, the bass player, like on the record and the keys player, he was just like, that whistle is like
Yeah,
amazing,
man,
you know.
absolutely. It's
Like,
so nice.
and when you take it out, it just yeah, I mean, because I mean that wasn't even supposed to be on it originally. You know, that I didn't ask Jules to put that on it. You know, it's just she just started playing it, and I can't imagine it now without it.
Yeah.
It's like it was like it just made it like work. Like if you take it out, it's just not the same at all. You know,
It's incredibly
and I would have had to do
playing.
so much kind of like spacey guitar stuff to get like a similar effect, but the whistle is just so much cooler because it's like it's just ethereal, like you say, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that worked out really well.
Mm.
And Silver Smoke, the last track on the record, that was like it was another like really just I wrote that really fast, like the lyrics to that. I was literally just at the time I was just sat on my doorstep, you know, having a cigarette, and I had this kind of moment. I was just thinking of, you know, reflecting on the past, and I had this really kind of surreal moment where all these kind of things came together, and I kind of like I ended up going in and writing a song just the lyrics immediately, and just came up with the music after the lyrics, but just kind of, you know, just immediately kind of what came with the lyrics to me.
Mm-hmm.
And recorded it, and that became like the kind of bare, you know, the bones of the song, and I just edited it a bit afterwards, like just because some of the lyrics weren't very good, but you know, I just edited it and turned it into, you know, into a finished song. And I think that song had to be written really fast because it captures a moment, you know. I think if I'd have kind of agonized over it even a little bit when I was writing it would have been gone. And I really like that song just for capturing that kind of that moment. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
man.
it still makes me it still brings it back to me, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
It's super emotive, that track. I remember Alex sent it to me,
Yeah.
and I listened to it and it completely blew me away. And you'd shown your brother it, I think around like Christmas time or something, and I just immediately messaged him like, "Mate, I'm in fucking pieces from this." Like seriously, it blindsided me. And yeah, man.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Cheers. Yeah, and that's got Jules's whistle played on it as well. And that we took a totally different approach with that one. Like we actually purposefully mangled it as much as we could, you know. We just kind of wanted to treat it as like as a texture, you know, like so we just we recorded it like loads of times and just used 2 different mics. And then we just processed the hell out of it. Like it's just like, you know, mangled it and kind of distorted it and put chorus on it and just delay and reverb and then compressed it again, and then, you know, but I think we processed the both mics separately and then again as a bus.
Oh, nice.
And then and I think we so, and also what else? Yeah, and then just automated everything. So that kind of that really atmospheric whistle sound comes from that.
That's really beautiful, I would say. What can we expect from you next?
Well, I've been writing. I've got like a new collection of songs I've been writing. Like I did a songwriting course with Buck Meek a little while back, which was absolutely brilliant. Like he's just an amazing guy. Like, and he's like a songwriting sage. He's just he gave us all these kind of techniques and games we could, you know, use to kind of help us come up with like material and stuff. So I wrote a few songs during that, which I'm really into actually. Really enjoying those songs. And so they're all kind of acoustic bass songs. I'm looking to start recording. There's one of them is like just an acoustic guitar and vocal track. That's the first one I'm planning to record. There's another called Bangs of a Nervous Drum, which is like a full band but led by acoustic track, which I'm hoping this is just in the formation at the moment in the back of my mind. I'm hoping to record that live in the studio with the band.
Nice.
I think that's gonna, because that kind of gives me a kind of like 60s, 70s, more 70s almost, like kind of like vibe. Like it makes me think of like 70s Bowie.
Yeah.
Like makes me think of like Fleetwood Mac a bit. Makes me think of like even like Led Zeppelin, like that kind of John Bonham drum kind of vibe to that track. Like it gets quite, you know, it's quite
Beefy,
heavy, but it's got like
yeah.
percussion as well. Yeah, it's like beefy, but there's also like percussion. It could, I think it could go either way with the beefiness of the drums. It could be like a beefy John Bonham sound, or it could be a kind of like 70s Bowie kind of very tight,
Yeah.
you know, but like it's got that kind of vibe, and I'm looking to just record it live, you know.
Nice.
So you've got this gig coming up at Yellow Arch. Are you quite excited to get back into that sort of live performance?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Are you
really
playing
excited. Like
that new song at that gig possibly, or is it more just based on the well sort of?
oh yeah, we're playing that new song. Yeah, we're playing 2 of the really new songs at that gig. I'm even going to try and write some more new songs before it.
Nice.
That's my plan.
Nice.
I just, because it's, you know, I just want to do, like, I want to be doing as much new material as possible. I really kind of don't want to be still playing songs I wrote, you know, years and years back.
Yeah, just keeping the wheel turning,
Like,
isn't it?
I'm trying to like prioritize new material, but I obviously I need to write a bit more new stuff, which is like upbeat.
If we move on to the last final section,
Yeah.
which is based on what's inspired you throughout these times and whatever.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned Kurt Vile inspired
Yeah.
a lot of your EP process, but is there any other artist that helps you sort of be inspired to get into music, maybe from the start, or whether it was writing music for your own project as you realised you wanted to do your own project sort of thing?
I think there's always like, I've always had like artists, like, you know, various artists throughout my whole kind of music life. You know, at the beginning it was like the punk bands I was listening to. And then as I got a bit older, you know, it's like I remember Of Montreal were really significant. Like, my music taste after that totally kind of changed, because I realized I just discovered these whole new worlds were available, you know, and was kind of listening to more kind of psychedelic stuff, I guess. And when I say psychedelic, I use that term really, really broadly, you know. But stuff that was like kind of textural, really creatively arranged music, but at the same time, you know, I was still listening to, I mean, one of my favorite oh god, there's just been so many, to be honest, but I think like recently as well, like it's been discovering kind of folkier kind of artists, like, I mean, Bill Callahan is like amazing. Big Thief, Wilco. I mean, I got into Wilco like a couple of years back now, and they were like another huge, you know, like the kind of bands that kind of changed your internal musical landscape just by listening to them a lot. You know, it kind of like you suddenly develop this whole new dimension to your kind of musical inner world, and your just emotional life in general. It kind of, you know, so I think that was like another really big one, and that kind of set the scene for all these other new influences. And I think I've found there's always like new artists I've discovered that will kind of reignite that kind of just kind of discovery process. You know, just wanting to dive into this something that's really exciting at the time for me. And I think the last few years it's been kind of folkier stuff, I guess. Kind of acoustic based, if you could call it, you know, like that kind of. I use these terms very broadly.
So here's I mean, quite a hard question now, but you could choose 3 artists, dead or alive. The sky's the limit, and you can collaborate with them for
Oh God.
one song. I mean, not one song with 3 artists, but one song each. Who would you choose for those 3?
Oh my God.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit, eh?
For this one question ever.
I'm not sure about this. This is a big old question.
Well, you know.
Who can I collaborate? Who would I like to collaborate with? Arthur Russell. I'd like to collaborate with Arthur Russell. I'd fucking love to collaborate with Arthur Russell. I feel
Nice.
like if I was, you know, oh man, I'd love to collaborate with Arthur Russell. All right, who else? Do these have to be music
really-
artists, by the way?
Well, anything. I mean, I feel like I've just got your hopes up that you're going to collaborate with Arthur Russell now, which is...
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be music, it can be poets, artists, or anything really.
I'd quite like to collaborate with the poet John Ashbery. I feel like that would be a lot of fun. Who else? Who else could I like to collaborate with? There's someone on the tip of my tongue. Can you come back to this one, please?
Of course, yeah. I mean, the next few questions I've got are all pretty hard-hitting questions. So
They're all horrible questions.
you know, save the hardest till last, I think. But actually, let's go for this one. So, could you recommend some independent artists? I know you mentioned you worked with Lilify on her new album, Folky
Yeah.
Heart. But have you got any other independent artists and bands that you could sort of deserve to be highlighted, and maybe we could chat to in future?
Yeah, so I've recently discovered a band called Danger Painters, actually, who are like an American band. They're in bands since the 70s, and they've got a really, their latest album it's 17 but in Roman numerals. It's really, really good. And they also have a track called Ain't Dead to Me, which is on one of their earlier EPs, which is just like absolutely like spine-tinglingly beautiful, that track particularly. Also Richard Dawson has got an album called 2020, which I'm really enjoying. That's a really cool album. But I'd also like to recommend like the artists I'm working with at the moment, like collaborating with, like got Henry Tufton, who makes music as Shapes with Faces, and he's also in Surf Jazz and Life Aquatic Band. Ford Collier, like absolutely incredible musician. He's in Mishra for Dry Stones. Juliana Day is in Shive Lights with me, and Emergence Collective, who are kind of like minimalist improvisation collective. All like just awesome musicians. And Will Shaw, who's also in Lab, and he's in a band called Ballo, who's been playing drums.
Nice. And I guess the most important question is, what is your go-to karaoke song? That's the one we want to know.
I generally avoid karaoke. If someone says karaoke, I will like run out of the room and find somewhere to hide for a couple of hours. But
In this one
if I was
situation.
gonna have to choose, I feel like I'd probably go for Soft Cell, Say Hello, Wave Goodbye.
Nice.
Ideally, like the 9-minute one with like a 4-minute clarinet intro at the beginning. I'll have a nice prance around the room to that, and then I'll start singing.
That's, yeah. I'm sure we could organise something like that.
I'd really love that, actually. I don't do karaoke, but I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do that, especially after, like, you know, not being out for a long time. I would jump at the chance. I only realised recently that song has, you know, not recently, sorry, but like a little bit after, you know, not straight away after discovering the song, I realised there was this like extended, like album version, I think it is. It's the extended one with this like 4-minute clarinet intro. I love it. It's so good. It's like It's like, imagine putting that at the start of like a pop song. Like, it's so fucking good, man. Like, it actually doesn't. It doesn't feel like it's superfluous or anything. It actually
Does it actually make
it's such
the
a
song
catchy like intro. Like,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Johnny.
Absolutely.
So yeah, thank you very much.
Cool.
And I can only recommend to everyone listening to try and get down to Sheffield's Yellow Art Studios for Johnny's support slot with Marla Palinka on the 23rd of July this year, 2021. So yeah, thank you all for listening. And thanks for joining us. Thanks, Anne.
No
as well
worries,
for
man.
coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny.
Cheers.
It's been a pleasure.